Hey folks, and welcome to CarStarz' 10 Cool Facts About Tommy's 70 Pontiac GTO in the 1995 film Home for the Holidays, and also an early Happy Thanksgiving to all. Fact number 1. There was a single 1970 Pontiac GTO hardtop used in the film to portray Tommy's very cool ride. The crew leaned on that same GTO whenever he was ripping through the neighborhood recklessly or using the car to torment his sister. Using a single GTO for the shoot gives the car a consistent presence you can follow through all of the Thanksgiving chaos this film dishes out. The movie was filmed on location around Baltimore, and later documentation traces the GTO back to a private collector in Maryland. That puts the car's roots in the same part of the country where the story's world is set. Rather than importing something from a studio fleet, the production reached into the local muscle car community and put a neighborhood GTO in front of the cameras. There are no reports of any backup cars brought in either, and not even any reports of any onset damage to the car, surprisingly. It is just one lone locally sourced GTO doing all the production work, which is rare. Fact number 2. Tommy's GTO was originally equipped with a Pontiac 400 V8 rated at 350 gross horsepower. Those numbers capture the baseline character of the car, plenty of torquey power to get you moving promptly, yet plenty streetable, making it a solid muscle car already. However, the original 400 was swapped for an upgraded 455 Pontiac V8 at some point before the film. So, this GTO was putting out even a bit more oomph than in stock form. This is why we see this car break traction so easily, even with wider than stock rear tires, making it one fun ride for sure. The car's real owner at the time described the 455 as a mildly modified street engine mated to a TH 400 3-speed automatic, with not much more details provided beyond that. That pairing suits the car's role nicely though, as it obviously had plenty of grunt for the spirited driving of the shoot, despite it being an automatic. Fact number 3. The second generation Pontiac GTO was produced from 1968 to 1972 and remained on the first gen's A-body platform. However, it saw updated styling, mechanical upgrades, and the introduction of the 455 HO V8 option in 1970. The engines got slightly more powerful as the high output option with the 400 HO model, making around 360 gross horsepower. And in 1969, Pontiac unveiled the now well-known Judge option for the GTO, which had special performance decals and aero options. Today, these cars are highly sought after by collectors, with excellent condition examples values ranging from around $65K to well over $100K for rare option package models. The Judge GTOs in particular command seriously hefty sums. Fact number 4. As for any other non-original to the car part swaps, outside the powertrain and the wider rear tires, it wears a Judge rear spoiler and it rides on Pontiac Rally 2 wheels rather than its original more plain Jane factory wheels. Even without bright Judge graphics, those pieces alone still makes it scream Judge. However, it should be noted that the car wasn't actually a Judge trim originally, so these were indeed just later made add-ons. Although the Judge look was only half-baked, the rear spoiler was a genuine Judge deck lid spoiler, a piece that in 1970 was tied to the WT1 Judge package. However, there are no matching Judge eyebrow fender stripes or any other Judge decals anywhere on the body. That mix of parts gives the movie GTO a cleaner look while still borrowing the Judge's best styling hardware, making it feel quite natural when Tommy leans into the throttle during those showy departures and driveway antics. Inside, the cabin carries the clues of an enthusiast-owned car rather than kept factory pure as well. The clearest change being an AM/FM cassette deck in the dash, easy to spot when the camera looks across the interior. It is a small detail, but it tells you the GTO was already being used and updated by an owner that opted for more modern accessories for daily driving over factory correctness. Fact number 5. After filming wrapped, the GTO did what most picture cars never get to do. It went right back to regular car life. The production had sourced it from a Maryland owner near where the movie was shot, so when the job was done, the car simply returned to that local collector's garage. No studio storage, no auction fanfare, just a working muscle car that happened to have a holiday film credit attached to it. A few years down the road, a change of hands occurred in the same area. A new owner bought it from that collector and later described it as his first real car love affair. He used it, enjoyed it, and kept the movie connection alive by telling the story at cruise nights and club meets. In that period, the car was known first as his GTO, with the film roll as a nifty extra side detail. As word trickled through Pontiac circles, the car's film history slowly shifted from private discussions to minor celebrity status. It started turning up in conversations about movie Pontiacs online where hobbyists could discuss deeper and analyze, always identified as the one and only Bermuda Blue Hardtop GTO from the well-known Thanksgiving comedy, Home for the Holidays. Fact number 6. By the time the GTO was starting to show up online, there had been a few changes from how we saw it on screen, the most noticeable of which being that the Rally 2 wheels had been swapped for 8-hole well draglite wheels, the classic drag look you see on a lot of street strip Pontiacs. That single change made the car sit and read a bit differently, more like an actively used hot rod than a mostly stock Survivor. Up front, the hood had also been swapped to a reproduction Pontiac steel hood with a tack. It turned the nose into more of a focal point, giving the car that unmistakable Pontiac performance vibe every time you glanced across the hood. Additionally, they laid down a bold white stripe along the center of the hood, done in a Royal Bobcat-inspired style. Combined with the weld wheels and the still existing Judge spoiler, that stripe pushed the GTO's personality closer to the period street machine scene that Royal Pontiac made famous. It was still recognizably the same blue 1970 GTO from the movie, just wearing more aggressive attire. Fact number 7. In late 2016, the Home for the Holidays GTO finally stepped out of private life momentarily when its owner at the time listed it on eBay as the screen-used film car. The ad set a starting bid of $21,500 and a buy it now of $24,500, with the auction scheduled to close on Monday, November 7th in the afternoon. Dozens of watchers followed it, curious about this obscure film Pontiac. The seller described the blue 1970 GTO as a good to very good driver, not a show queen, highlighting normal chips and scratches in the paint. He called out the 455 V8 replacement engine, turbo 400 automatic, 12-bolt rear axle, weld wheels, Judge spoiler, hood tack, and the mix of original and replacement interior pieces. The movie connection was mentioned, but the car's street character came through first. Since that eBay listing itself is long gone off eBay's site now, as far as I could gather, the car didn't actually sell on eBay then, but was sold after the fact for a renegotiated sum. Regardless, we do know it changed hands around that time and a time or two after. Fact number 8. In its most recent online appearance on Reddit about a year ago, the Home for the Holidays GTO has once again had some visual changes. The white hood stripe is gone. However, out back, the Judge rear spoiler is still present at least. Under the hood, the car still carries the 455, with some nice engine dressing to go with it, presenting as a generally well cared for ride, owned with pride. It's the same powertrain story we already know, just presented in a more detailed show-ready way. The biggest visual changes, in these only a few photos available, is the yet again changed up wheels. The weld drag wheels are replaced by polished, more modern aesthetic, 5 spokes, which although a bit hard to tell from the limited view of the images, but they appear to be American Racing Torque Thrust 2 wheels, which give it a more contemporary street machine stance. Fact number 9. As far as where the car is today from info available online, the Home for the Holidays GTO is still privately owned by the same owner as last year. That's a conclusion drawn from a post there that they knew the car had gone through 5 different owners in the past, but now they intend to keep the car in their family. So that's certainly a much happier ending than most classic movie muscle cars get, that's for sure. All of the documented ownership history keeps pointing back to Maryland and the surrounding region. The car was in that area when it was used for the film, it was there again when later owners described it, and nothing published since has moved it anywhere else. The most recent shown photos match that long-running association, although they do not name the specific town or the current owner, understandably. What those somewhat recent images do make clear is how the car is being cared for now. So, at least it's not just sitting forgotten in a garage or rotting out in the open somewhere, but still being enjoyed in the way it was intended to be. The movie GTO has settled into a comfy life as a privately owned show and cruise car, still recognizable as the same blue Pontiac audiences first saw on screen 30 years ago, despite the mostly visual changes since. Fact number 10. Looking into what the scale model world has to offer, fortunately, due to the Pontiac GTO's high popularity over the years, there are a number of manufacturers that produce second-generation scale models. Probably the highest quality 70 GTO diecast models you'll find out there are the 1/18 scale GTO series cars from the high-end brand GMP. However, these are no longer on the current retail market and can get up into several hundreds of dollars in value on eBay. As for available 2nd Gen GTO model kits, model kit builders can pick up this 1/25th scale 68 GTO model kit from AMT for around the $30 mark to build a replica. I will put a link in the description below to where you can get this kit for those interested. Well, there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw here. You guys are all great. See you next time.